And welcome to Be Our Guest. You know, when you think of the state of Alabama, we're trying to become known as a big automotive manufacturing state. That's good from that aspect, but you may or may not know that in the area of agriculture, we are almost one of the top states in the United States of America. And today we have with us the head man of agriculture for the state of Alabama, Commissioner John McMillan. So glad to have you with us. And we're fortunate in the state of Alabama with cattle, with chickens, with you name it.
Yes, we are. We sure are. And we've got some opportunities for some growth in Alabama.
Good.
I would think that, you know, we have talked much about this too, and as you know, I'm a huge proponent of purchasing Alabama products.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, a number of years ago, we started Buy Alabama's Best, and because we have a family-owned business, Alaga Syrup, that's been around. It's the oldest food company in the state of Alabama.
Wow.
But you know what we were talking about was there's more to this than just buying Alabama products. This affects this economy.
Absolutely.
So if I reach for something on the shelf, let's say Golden Flake potato chips as opposed to Lay's, or Alaga syrup as opposed to another brand, what difference does that really make in this state?
Well, just put very simply, those dollars that come out of our consumer pockets in Alabama that go to Alabama companies keep circulating in the state of Alabama.
Sure.
They don't take a one-way trip up east or out west or somewhere where we don't see them again. And there's numbers on that. I'm familiar with forestry, and I know, looking at it from you know, trees being bought and manufactured and utilized, that dollar circulates like 7 times in our economy. So I think it would be at least comparable with,
you know, and I didn't even mention forestry at the beginning, because, you know, when we think pretty much about products, we think about things that we're going to consume. As consumers, and you know, if you've got a nice house in Alabama, you consumed a few trees to build that house.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And agriculture and forestry and related agribusinesses comprise about 42% of Alabama's total economy.
Wow.
So it's still very significant.
Now, is it true there's so much buzz about Cuba at this point? I made a trip over with your department some time back, and I believe exports are huge, Jack. They bring a lot of money into our state, and we export some things to Cuba, I believe.
We do. It's currently, and with President Obama's changes in the opening of the embassy, I think we're going to gradually see a change, but I think the bottom line is a lot of those embargoes that are currently in existence have to be changed by Congress. I personally don't think that's going to happen to really free things up, but on the other end of it, I'm not sure just how much money they've got to really buy a lot of things down there, but there is a lot of interest. Other countries are doing some investments. We've had, in fact, a group of our folks from Alabama in the poultry industry went down to Havana and met with them recently. We've had some issues with them about accepting some of our poultry products down there, so we're trying to work through that. So there's some things going on that are encouraging, and I think long term, definitely that's going to be a situation. I think they should be concerned about how much they let our free enterprise folks from the United States get involved down there, because I think we'll change that country over time.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know, in talking about Alabama products and going back to seafood, I found it fascinating about the farm. There's so much being farm raised. Shrimp and catfish? We
do. Catfish is a huge thing. Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi are really the 3 catfish producing, and they've suffered some in recent years, primarily because of grain prices and that kind of thing. Those prices are depressed. So when one thing's down in one sector, it helps somebody in another sector. So the grain prices being depressed have helped not only catfish, but cattle and other sectors in livestock as well, certainly poultry. But anyway, our catfish people are doing a little better. Auburn's fishery folks are just doing an outstanding job with some innovative things that I think are really going to help our catfish industry, in especially Alabama and Mississippi. But one thing that our viewers may not be as aware about is the saltwater aquifer that we have in West Alabama, where we have saltwater ponds over there, and we've got some growers that are very successful in growing shrimp. and some of them this past winter, when it got too cold for shrimp, grew out some rainbow trout. So the potential is tremendous there, and we really believe we're going to see some additional investment there. We're importing something like 80 or 90% of our seafood now. We are starting to see shortages in some places in the Gulf and oceans and that sort of thing. So that's a concern, but also an opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for everything you've done to increase every opportunity for this state to grow. And since agriculture, I believe, is the biggest business in the state of Alabama.
Yes, ma'am, by far.
So that's a tremendous responsibility that you and your department have. Thank you for working for us, and thank you for being with us. And you stay with us, and we'll be right back.